Yes, you can. A podcast for high achievers. Hi, I'm Tammy North. I'm the owner of the Genuine Driven Women brand of businesses. The goal of this podcast is to help you become the best that you can be. Don't ever doubt the power you have to make the world a better place. Yes, you can make a difference. Today's podcast is brought to you by the 30-Day Executive Presence at Home Challenge. The world needs your gifts now more than ever. Do you want your own executive coach? Well, then I have a treat for you. All you have to do is 30 small challenges while you're hanging out at home, and they will propel you into the future. I've designed each one of these challenges specifically for you to get you ready to take that next big step. No matter if it's a promotion you're looking for, a new passion position, maybe you are in the market for a new opportunity, a new job, or maybe you're starting a completely new career. You'll receive one challenge every day that's jam-packed with easy-to-do step-by-step instructions. You'll get the first one starting today. All you have to do is scroll down into the show notes. You'll find a link there, one quick sign up, and you'll get the first one in your inbox. I've already gotten a ton of feedback, and I can tell you, day 5 is a fan favorite. There's never been a more important time to bring your special gifts to the world. You are a leader, and it is your time to shine. The world needs you to be ready. Are you in? Again, you'll find a link to the 30-day challenge down in the show notes. Now let's get on with our show. Today we're going to talk about really going deep and learning about who you are. When I was a little girl, newspapers were thrown at our houses by kids on bicycles every single day. They would come riding by around 4:30 in the afternoon. My friends and I would be outside on the grass playing kickball or hide and seek. And then the paper boy would throw the newspaper and we'd all stop what we were doing, run over, get the newspaper. Sometimes we'd sit on our front porches and open up to the back page, have the crossword puzzle. There was a word scramble and there was a horoscope. And we loved reading our horoscopes, and we loved reading each other's horoscopes, for all of our friends, and maybe if we had a crush on a boy or any kind of stuff. So it was fun. But looking back, now I realize that those little daily horoscopes, they were about one sentence or two sentences. They were so general, and they really didn't mean anything, but they were just fun, kind of like a fortune cookie. Yeah, those horoscopes were fun, but today there's really excellent tools that are available for your use. And if you're willing to pay a little bit of money, you can get some very in-depth analytical tools about yourself, different assessments like Myers-Briggs and others that will dive very deep and give you very detailed information about your personality and other strengths and weaknesses. When you join a coaching program, including my coaching program, I will take you through a very serious battery of all of those types of examinations and assessments in order to really figure out who you are deeply. But today's episode, we're just going to talk about some higher level, easier versions that are either cheap or free that you can just do to give you a pretty good idea of where you are. Today, I just want you to spend quality time with somebody that you should get to know very well, and that is you. Self-awareness is one of the best gifts you can give to yourself. So today's episode, it's going to be a lot more useful than an old horoscope. We're going to go a lot deeper into who you are, and hopefully we'll have some fun while we're at it. So the way we're going to do this is that I'm going to share with you 3 different assessments, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about each of them that are either free or the maximum cost is about $20, I think. All 3 assessments that I've taken for myself, and I'll give you some explanation about how they compare with the much more detailed versions you would get in a true executive presence coaching assessment. So even though these are either cheap or free, they provide an amazing amount of information about yourself, where you'll learn a little bit about your personality, what your strengths are, and then how the world sees you, which will help you understand how you impress or influence other people. So I've taken all 3 of these assessments that we're going to talk about today, and the first one I want to talk about is a personality test. As part of multiple executive coaching programs that I've been in or other leadership training courses, I've actually taken the official MBTI assessment, including the Step 3 assessment and the interpretive report from the Myers-Briggs company themselves. And while the MBTI assessments do provide you with extensive information that will help you understand and use your personality type to your advantage, there is a free version that you can access online. It's not affiliated with Genuine Driven Women at all, but I have taken this one, and so have many of my friends and colleagues who've also had the MBTI assessment. And in all the cases, as far as all the people I know, and including myself, this simpler free test did give me an accurate personality type based on, I should say, it gave me the same personality assessment or outcome as did the full MBTI battery that I took. This one is at www.16personalities.com, and I'll put a link to this down in the show notes, and it is free. Obviously, this is the same kind of company that you take their free version and then they're going to offer you other more detailed paid versions. But their free version is really good, and it's actually, they have a lot of information after you take it that you can read about yourself and find out more about your personality and kind of the advantages and disadvantages of a personality. If you do want to take the full detailed MBTI assessment, for many people, it might be affordable, and I will link to that in the show notes as well. And it's $49.95, and it will give you an amazing amount of information. That's the kind of reading that you can read about yourself for days. So it's worth it, but I know that not everybody wants to spend $50 on a personality test right now. If you do take an executive coaching program, very often these types of assessments are included as part of that. So the second assessment I'd like to talk about is the StrengthsFinder 2.0 assessment. This assessment is also free if you buy the book. So there's a book called StrengthsFinders 2.0, and if you buy the book, it will give you a code to take the test for free online. Right now on Amazon, this book is priced between $14 and $20, depending on the format you choose on Amazon. But when you buy the book, then they will either send you a code if it's an online or Audible version, or if you get the physical hardcover or paperback book, then there'll be an envelope in the back, and you rip open the envelope and it'll have the code in there for you to take that. So this StrengthsFinder assessment is awesome. What it does is it provides you with your top 5 strengths. And then the rest of the book is loaded with tons of information about how to use your specific strengths in your life, in your everyday world, to either succeed in business, your career, or other areas of your life. So when you take your StrengthsFinder 2.0 assessment, they will send you a report, and it will go into detail about your top 5 strengths and then some different themes and insight on each of these 5 strengths. So for example, my number 1 strength was that I'm a learner. And it says people who are especially talented in the learner theme have a great desire to learn and want to continuously improve. And in particular, the process of learning rather than the outcome excites them, which means I'm just constantly wanting to learn and get more information, and I'm constantly trying to improve myself, where I'm not necessarily trying to become any specific thing, that it's more the process and the activity of learning that excites me. And if anybody knows me, I think nobody would argue with that at all. It says I'm very likely to absorb all kinds of information from books, publications, or other written materials, and that I have a voracious, never satisfied appetite for knowledge. And I would say that's true. So I mean, that's just an example, and it then goes on to have, almost an entire page just about that strength alone. Then my second strength for me, I'm not going to tell you all 5, I'm just going to tell you a couple, is futuristic, which it says people who are especially talented in the futuristic theme are inspired by the future and what could be. They inspire others with their visions of the future. So I think that between those 2 strengths right there, I think you can understand how I could come to be a person who is running the Genuine Driven Women business, and then, running this type of podcast where I have all this information in my head. I know I can share it, but I can also understand very clearly, I can see so clearly often exactly what possibilities the future holds, all the possibilities it holds for you. As I talk to you more and get to know you better, it'll become very clear to me all the possibilities of your future. I don't only see one future, I see multiple futures, and it depends on the path you take. So I really love, that's where I get my passion. And you can see that if you know me, or you've been talking to me, or you've been listening to this podcast, you're one of my friends, one of my family, then you would not be surprised at all by these 2 strengths. The bottom of the paragraph about the futuristic strength says, I work very hard to breathe life into big dreams, and these often push and pull myself and others into the future. It's a pretty good chance you're a visionary thinker, and that your vivid mental images of the coming months, years, or decades often impel you to move into action. These are my strengths. So I would really love to hear about your strengths. I really encourage you, go down to the link in the show notes, go to Amazon, buy the cheapest version of that book and take this assessment and then read the book. And I would love to hear what your strengths are and how you think they apply to you. And then the third assessment can also be purchased online. I think if you go to the website for this assessment, it's $55. But this is another one of those that if you buy the book, How the World Sees You, and the subtitle is Discover Your Highest Value Through the Science of Fascination. If you buy the book, you get the assessment again for free. And right now, this book is only $9.49 on Amazon. I have a link down in the show notes to buy this book. Inside this report, you'll learn the cues and signals that you're intentionally or unintentionally sending into the world and the pros and cons of each. You'll find out what you're already doing right so you can do more of that, and you'll find out some situations that might put you at a disadvantage. And sort of the premise of this book is that in order to become successful, it doesn't want you to change who you are. It wants you to become more of who you are. The book was really good. I started to read this book and then partway through it tells you to take the assessment, so I did. And then when you go and then listen to the rest of the book, after you know what your fascination advantages are, and then you read the rest of the book, it is extremely interesting. So I would encourage you to read this book, take the assessment, and then finish reading the book. So let me tell you a little bit about what came in my assessment for this one. And by the way, both StrengthsFinders 2.0 and the Fascination Advantage, they both have online portals that you log in to get all your information. And there's a ton of other information in these portals about your types and about your strengths, including videos and other things that it'll share to help you apply your strengths or your advantages in the world in the best way possible. So my Fascination Advantage report, it says, if you don't know what your advantages are, no one else will either. So this report describes how you're most likely to impress and influence others so you can focus on what you're already doing right. It'll tell you a quick summary of how the world sees you at your best. It'll tell you your top 5 specialty adjectives, and these are words that describe how you add value to the world. A lot of this report will actually go through ways that you can use words in your resumes and other products about yourself when you're trying to describe yourself. Maybe biographies, bio pages, about me pages on websites, resumes, business cards, just when you're trying to develop a elevator speech or whatever you want to call it, your little 2-minute talk. If you need to be ready to explain your value, maybe in an interview, that these kind of adjectives are a great starting place to prepare those types of conversations. It says it'll give you a deeper understanding of yourself by understanding how you communicate most confidently and most authentically with the world. It'll tell you your advantages, both your primary and your secondary advantage, and how you can use those together in order to really accelerate your impact on the world. And then I think one of the coolest things it does is it will help you create your own anthem, sort of a sentence that you can say, you're kind of like a tagline about yourself. My primary advantage was passion, and my second advantage was power. So it says how the world sees me, that I'm optimistic, gregarious, I add energy to any meeting, I advocate for others, I step up to make sure everybody's heard, I speak for my team and the company, and I passionately keep everybody emotionally involved. I'm an advocate of people and ideas, and my energy makes me an active voice for groups. So that's an example of what it says. It says that, I'm naturally optimistic, personable, outgoing. I have an innate ability to connect with other people, cheerful. I enjoy management by walking around. I like to get to know people. I like to get a feel for what's going on. And I'm generally well-liked and respected, and I can be highly influential no matter what position I'm in at the company. And honestly, I have found all that to be true. And then it says, what is not my highest and best value? And I can say that this is true. It says, other people should not expect me to be the person who's going to overplan a project or know every single financial figure by heart. That's not who I am. I don't get way down in the weeds like that. That's not my strong point. But when I have somebody where that is their strong point on my team, we really balance each other out. And then the team usually becomes a very powerful team. If I were a startup entrepreneur, then I would win the backing of crucial investors based upon my drive and my passion, but not necessarily my exhaustive financial knowledge. So you see how it is, it's kind of talking about the ways that I add value, and the ways that I may have challenges and I need to be aware of those challenges in order to make sure that I balance out my team appropriately. So it also talks about the dormant advantage that I have. And so this will be interesting for you because it tells you that the advantage that you have that is your weakest advantage will be your dormant advantage. And that if you have to use that form of communication or do that kind of work, it will become your most exhausting form. And it is also the way you are least likely to impress others. It tells you what your dormant advantage is, and then it tells you to try to avoid situations that force you to communicate with your dormant advantage, because this form of communication will cost you a disproportionate amount of energy and it is unlikely to set you up for success. So you should stay away from careers with this advantage, where this advantage is strongly required, or times that you may have to communicate very strongly with this advantage. Anytime that you are forced to use your dormant advantage, you will feel like you're in quicksand. You'll feel stuck. You won't be able to move without using up all of your energy. And so that's why it's important to recognize when you're in these types of interactions so you can prevent yourself from slowing down your momentum, if that makes sense. That's one of the most interesting things here. And yeah, it tells me that my dormant advantage is alert. For this assessment, alert, it says, is the language of detail, which is not my strong point. So I always have to have somebody on my team that is really the numbers person, who's the deep analytical person, who really wants to get down and get into every single nitty-gritty detail. If I have a person like that I really click with, then we are unstoppable. So this overall fascination advantage report is 16 pages long, and it's so interesting. I would definitely take it, and let me know what you think. I'm pretty sure that you could take all of these assessments in one single day if you want to, or you could spread them out over a week or two, but none of them are very long. The Strength Finder 2.0 took about 45 minutes, and I think the other two took about 20 minutes each, give or take. Even if you only take the free personality one only, and you find out your Myers-Briggs type, there is so much information on the internet about your personality type. In fact, if you take every single assessment the cheapest way possible, you can learn all this information about yourself for less than $30, and all from the comfort of your own home. So why would we take all these assessments, and what good does it do you? Basically, self-awareness is one of the most essential parts of executive presence and also just growing as a leader in general. You need to be very clear on what your superpowers are. And then you need to know, much like I was explaining, if I'm kind of a strategic thinker, a high-level thinker, that's great. But if I'm out there doing that all by myself without somebody on my team that really understands the nitty-gritty details, especially of finance and those type of things, I am an executor. I do have a strength. One of my strengths did say I'm good at execution, so that's not really a problem. If I have a plan, I will execute that plan. But in every plan, there are details that need to be focused on, and somebody needs to put the energy on that. And so I need to make sure I have a person that I trust, that I can communicate with. And then I also need to occasionally take my own time to make sure I am getting down and understanding that part of my projects that I'm on. So you can't ignore your weaknesses, but there's definitely the area that you thrive in and that you are best at. And so knowing what really works for you, and then also knowing what you really struggle with or what makes you feel like you're in quicksand. Knowing those things about yourself will really help you build excellent team and will help you explain who you are and the value you bring when you're walking down the passageway with the CEO and he says, "Oh, hello, Mary Ellen. Tell me about yourself." And now you have 2 or 3 minutes to explain who you are. What are you going to say? Taking the time to really get clear on who you are and really thinking about what your strengths are and taking the time to write those down and kind of work them into your resumes and work them into other places where they're required. And then making sure that you're on teams with the complementary strengths where people have strengths where you have challenges. When you have that kind of self-awareness, it will propel you into the future like you have never seen. And it's surprising how many people are not very self-aware. It will never hurt you to spend time learning about yourself. And honestly, I know you, and you love learning about yourself as much as I do. So take some time. You're just hanging out at home. Take some time, read these books, do these assessments, and let me know what you think, because I know you're amazing. So I really want to celebrate your wins. If you read these books or take these assessments, let me know. Send me an email to tammy.north@genuinedrivenwomen.com or leave me a voicemail down here in the show notes and let me know how your assessment went and what surprised you most about it. Did you figure out you had a strength that you didn't really realize? Tell me about it. I'd love to hear. What, did you completely disagree? Did you take any of these assessments and think that they were completely wrong? I'd love to hear about that too. Let's talk. All the information on how to contact me is below in the show notes. You can connect with us on Facebook at Genuine Driven Women, or to learn more about what we offer, check out genuinedrivenwomen.com.